Hello everybody, here we are, and I hope I'm audible right now. Mainly in this particular live, we are gonna be working with Kubernetes deployment section. So ultimately, we are gonna be creating clusters and all on AWS, and then we'll try our level best to deploy as well. So let's say yesterday we could only build the backend section. Today we are gonna be working on the front end, and probably we will be able to deploy it at the end by the end, or let's see what's gonna happen, because these things take a lot like some time to just simply get them done. But let's see. As for right now, we are just simply gonna be, first of all, let me make sure that everything's up and running. And don't worry, in a day we are supposed to be giving 2 hours to this particular thing. That simply means we can build the app, and the deployment can be done as well. Am I audible? That's simply, yeah. So without any further delay, let's simply get started. Yesterday, let me show you the things that we worked on. So Kubernetes deployment. This should actually be to-do deployment. Alright, then welcome back. It's up and running right now. The thing is that whenever I work with whenever I go live with the wired connection, so of course I face a network issue. So I had to switch to the wireless. Coming back to this one, front end is almost ready. Even we worked on the database section as well. So ultimately we don't really need to worry about anything. For now, what should I be doing here? Just a minute. Let me even open the Kubernetes section so that we don't miss anything. And over here, if I talk about this environment variable, so these are the environment variables that we need to have. As for this Postgres DB, so this needs to be replaced with the database that we are going to be creating. And anything else that we need to be worried about? This thing is almost done, so we don't really need to worry about it. Like two-stage build configuration, and that is it. That was the only thing that we had to do. So this is already done. Just give me a second, and let me start this as well. And the Notion. What time is it anyway? It's 4:44, so around it's gonna be 1 hour long, and after that we'll be switching to something else. By the way, as the front end, let me even do one thing: ls cd backend, and for this particular thing, docker process status. MongoDB is running, right? But this one is using Postgres Prism ultimately. So docker start Postgres DB. So this is started, and now I should be able to run this. So ls and one dev in the development mode. So ultimately we have our all the credentials that we need, and once we have them, it should be up and running. So to check this, I'm simply gonna be using Postman here. Something's wrong with my ear. My own voice is echoing inside my ear. Okay, now right now it's fine. Alrighty, so here we are. Just a minute. And meanwhile, let me just open that section here, software. Okay, that Kubernetes section, right? So let me go through everything. So it's gonna be sort of a revision that we are gonna be going through everything that we have learned. So first of all, I'm gonna be focusing on this Kubernetes section. So when it comes to the links, so I don't really need to go through anything else if I'm not wrong, except this thing. Okay, never mind. Certbot, there is something called certbot that we have to know more about, but okay, never mind. This thing is optional, at least for now. First of all, talking about the clusters over here, again it's gonna take some time to load, so let it load, and let me check this thing. I'm gonna be getting all the to-dos, so let me send a request, and if we get the to-dos, that simply means it's working. And yeah, we seem to be getting that, so we don't really need to worry about it. And once we are getting the to-dos, that simply means the backend section is working. Let's go to the front end one. So ls and cd one directory back and front end. Or let me do one thing. I will have two terminals over here. One is gonna be for the back end, and another one is gonna be for the front end. I'm gonna be running both of them. So as for initializing the front end, that's gonna be normal Next.js project. So bun. Now how do we initialize this? I have no idea. So let me go with the Next.js and Next.js by Vercel. Let me just simply initialize this as well. So npx create next step, but I wanna go with the which part? The bun part. So how do we initialize this using bun? Here it is. So next step, there is a difference because when you are using npm, so you have to use create next app @latest, but when you are using bun, so create is separate over here. So bun create next app in Docker, to be precise, that is in Docker. So Kubernetes in Docker, by the way, kind is mainly used for creating the local clusters, and we can even create the clusters. We even know that kind create cluster and the name we have to provide, and it is going to be created. Docker process table. Okay, let me just discuss in the current directory. Yes, using default. Let me discuss it briefly over here. Whatever, because it's all about gonna be the revision part. So meanwhile, we are gonna be working on this particular thing as well. So what am I actually gonna be discussing over here? That there is something called kind, and actually kind's full form is Kubernetes inside Docker, and apart from this particular thing, kind is mainly used for creating the clusters locally. So kind, we already have discussed about all these things, so we are just simply gonna be talking about the commands. So kind create cluster, and then either you provide your configuration that you have created over here, suppose local cluster.ml, and providing the name over here. Again, this particular terminal is giving us suggestions, nothing could be better than that, but this is how you can just simply give it the configuration, or you can even locally create that. So we have already gone through all these things, so we can easily create the cluster. The good thing is that especially when you create the configuration over there, you can just simply configure the things exactly the way you want, and that is why creating an ML file and configuring the things is a better way. By the way, this time as we are going to be creating the things, we will try our level best to just simply write the configuration or on or on. Let's see how we are going to be doing that, because so far the last time, of course, I've been just simply copying and pasting, sort of I've been able to understand, but at the end of the day, I've been just simply copying and pasting, and let's see what's going to be happening this time. By the way, kind get clusters, we are going to be getting all the clusters. We already know about this. Kind cluster info context and kind local, these are just the commands, so we don't really need to worry about it. If you're actually worrying that where am I looking at, so let me even show you this this thing to you. That would even be better, because if I just directly keep going on like this, you may not be able to get the idea exactly what am I talking about. So let me paste it over here. So ultimately, this is the thing that I was talking about. These are just the commands. Kind full form is Kubernetes in Docker. These are the things that we have already learned about. Right now, we are just simply going through them really quickly, and meanwhile, we are gonna be focusing on the this project as well, like creating a front end, back end, and deploying it all and all. So this is how it's gonna be going on. The main focus is gonna be giving it around 2 hours in a day, but let's see how it's gonna be going on. So ultimately, using this command kind cluster create, you can just simply create cluster. This will just simply initialize the local cluster, and not only that, you will just simply get only one worker. What are workers, what are nodes, you just know more about them. But okay, this is the only thing I can say. If you don't provide the name, the default name kind is automatically be used. So ultimately, I'm providing name local over here. If I don't provide, it will automatically use the name. By the way, I had better not use this because it gives us a lot of suggestions. So let me go with the terminal that doesn't give us suggestions at all. So this is where I'm just simply gonna be writing the command. By the way, if you just simply say kind create cluster and just simply, by the way, local, it will be just simply creating the local cluster for you. But the thing is that when it creates the cluster, at that time it just simply gives you a control plane. It doesn't give you workers. So ultimately you are not able to, ultimately you have only one control plane that will do the job of a control plane that will do the job of the workers, and that gets problematic because over here if you say k get k get nodes, and now what is k over here? In my case, k references to kubectl. I have actually created a kubectl get nodes. So ultimately, if you can see over here, we are just simply getting the control plane. That simply means we do not have any nodes, and that is why we configure it and then we create it. Configuring in the sense we properly say that we want a control plane, we want 2 workers or 3 workers, depends on us. By the way, if I want to delete this get nodes. This is what we have right now, and kind delete cluster, just provide the name over here, that's gonna be local, and it will be just simply deleting that. If you say get nodes right now, you are not gonna be getting any. So this is how it just simply goes. Alrighty, this particular thing is done. And again, if you create a cluster, you can know more about the cluster. So this simply gives you the information about the cluster. What is this cluster all about? And this is the normal configuration for the cluster. We are going to be talking about this. Most importantly, we will try to write it on our own. So ultimately, you need a type first of all, kind, and you need the nodes. How many nodes you need? First, I need the role, that's going to be control. Ultimately, first I need control plane. Second and third one, they need to be the workers. And the important thing is that because if the API version is not correct, then it's gonna be kind of it will be throwing the errors. So kind.x.kits.io v1 alpha 4, this is the type. So type can be problematic. Like for that thing, of course, you will have to Google and all what should be the type of creating a local cluster. But yeah, this is how it just simply works. Alrighty, by the way, I will not be remembering this, but at least I should have the idea about all these things, right? 3 things. So let me go ahead from here, and first of all, this is the thing that we are gonna be focusing on. So but let me do one more thing. What I don't think doing that will actually be significant, because until unless I'm creating the things on my own, it doesn't really make any difference. So I will be rewriting everything on my own. Let's see. By the way, as for right now, let's simply do one thing. I have backend over here, I have frontend over here, and I'm gonna be creating oops over here for all the DevOps related files. And just in here, I'm gonna be creating a local cluster.ml, and over here I will be just simply writing the ML configuration. So over here, what am I gonna say? That kind is actually gonna be cluster over here. I actually want to create a cluster API version. Well, I'm not aware of this thing, so I'm gonna be just either taking the help of the Google, or I will be just simply kind of taking the help of my notes. Anyway, I will just simply find it, and then the nodes, I have to specify the number of nodes that I want. So the role is gonna be, first one is gonna be control plane. By the way, all these things are already written in my notes. Second one, role, that's gonna be node, and third one is worker, not node, worker, and last one is also gonna be a worker. So this is how we are just simply gonna be going ahead. As for the API version, of course, that is something you will have to figure out. So let me make a Google search, API version for creating local cluster using kind, quick start kind Kubernetes. Let's see. So if I actually come here, scroll a little bit, hopefully I should be getting something that's worth looking at. So let's see. Well, we didn't really get anything. We did get that. So ultimately, this is the example that we got over here. Kind is gonna be this. API version is gonna be kind.x. Kate is io. I mean kind.x kate.io. I mean whatever. So you can just either write on your own that kind.x kate dot. I hope this is how it just simply goes. io slash v1 alpha 4, just like this. Or you can just simply copy this thing from here. So kind.x hyphen kdays.io forward slash v1 alpha 4. What is this? This is nothing but the version. You have to just simply copy and paste, and once you just simply apply this, so your local cluster will automatically be created. So for this thing, let me do one thing. Let me create 3, not 4 actually, just 3 are gonna be enough for me. And this is how we are just simply gonna be going ahead. Alrighty, cd oops ls. Now if I apply, so k, I think kind apply, yeah, that's right. So kind apply. As for the configuration file is a local cluster, and the name of this is gonna be local. Let's simply run this. Apply. Okay, apply is not used for this, especially when you are creating a local cluster. At that time you have to just simply say create cluster, because you can apply deployments, replica sets, pods, you cannot apply this. So kind create cluster and config, and kind create cluster config, local cluster is the config .ml, and the name is gonna be local over here. So it will just simply be creating. By the way, you should be, or we should be able to write the whole configuration on or not. Right now it's just simply getting created. Meanwhile we can just simply practice the configuration. So how should be the configuration be? First of all, we need a kind is gonna be cluster over here. Second, we need the API version. API version is gonna be, by the way I forgotten, I hope that's kind dot x k it is dot io / v1 alpha 4 and then you need nodes. And nodes, why am I just simply practicing it? If you are able to even think ahead, that's great, and then the AI is of course there to help us. But at least when you are even creating the configuration, so you should have the idea, or at least more than half you should be able to write on your own, if not completely, because of course there are these versions, they are completely insane to remember, but okay, never mind. We want few roles over here. First one is gonna be control plane, and another role that's gonna be worker we need, and another role we need one more worker. Similarly, you can have many workers. It's completely up to you how many workers you want. But suppose we are gonna be having 3 workers or 2 workers, is completely up to us. So by the way, k it is io. Oh, I hope this is right. Yeah, that's actually right. So this is how you can just simply go ahead. It's been created anyway. So if I say kind, alrighty, let me clear it. Kind get clusters, it will be just simply giving me all the clusters that are here locally. Oh, lol, that's the name. Sorry, my mistake. So let me delete this. Kind delete cluster. I wanna delete. What is the name of the cluster? Lol, whatever this is. Let's simply run this. So it's been deleted right now. So kind get clusters. There are no clusters right now. I'm gonna be using the same configuration and will be creating it. So kind create cluster, and the configuration for this is gonna be config, and that's actually gonna be the name of this particular file. That's gonna be local cluster.ml. As for the name, that's gonna be local instead of being lol, whatever, lol. Anyway, kind create cluster config, and this, let's simply run this and see what's gonna happen. The configuration is right, that is why this started creating the clusters, and that's what we wanted. Even I wanted to talk about aliases, and I think aliases are kept inside. So let me just simply let it get created. After that we'll see, maybe inside bash.rc file I have created. Even you can just simply say export alias, not alias, I forgot the way as well. I think yeah, it's like this, alias and kubectl. So kk, suppose kk is the name, so kk, and that stands for kubectl, just like this. And if I just simply run this, so ultimately I have my alias over here. So if I say kk get nodes, I'm gonna be getting the nodes. Just a minute, give me a sec. Alright everybody, here we are. Let's continue. And I hope I'm audible right now. So we were just simply talking about this. The cluster has been created, and this kk that we created, the alias that we actually created, kk get nodes or kk get pods and all. Well, we don't really have any pods, but this kk is working. But the thing is that if I just simply exit this terminal, or instead of using kk over here, if I try to use this kk here, kk get nodes and all, it's not gonna be working. It is just simply saying that kk not found. That simply means when we created this particular alias, this alias is for this particular terminal only. Okay, so that gets problematic. And I think to get rid of this thing, you just simply create the alias. If I just simply write alias, so these are the aliases that we have right now, and these are the two aliases. This is globally created. I mean, this remains here at all the time. This one that I created, this is just the temporary alias that I have created. So that simply means if I just simply write alias in this particular terminal, so I will not be getting that kk. I'm just simply getting this k over here. So that's the thing. By the way, if you wanna filter the aliases, so you can even do alias and a pipeline. I'm gonna be filtering it based on a name, and the name is gonna be k. So by the way, these are the aliases that I've got that has k. That's not bad. I mean, that is bad. So let me filter them based on the name kubectl. So all the aliases for the kubectl I've got over here. So I have two aliases over here. Now these are the commands of Linux. You must be knowing that nowadays I'm learning the commands. So yeah, it's easy to just simply use them here. That's the EU plus point of learning them. So we have two aliases of kubectl. This one is the permanent and this one is the recent one that we created, and mainly this is limited to this particular terminal only. Okay, by the way, let's continue. What I wanna do that, if I go to bash rc file, so where is bash rc file? cd this, let me see, L, do we have bash rc file over here? We do not. ls lsl, do we have bash rc file here? We don't really. How about inside etc? I don't even know where the bash rc file is. ls. Now if I want to check whether something has as name lsl, I'm gonna be filtering again and bash rc. So bash.bash rc, this is the file that we have over here. Now if I want to filter it globally, how will I be doing that? Interesting. So let me go to the root directory ls, and I want to see where this bash rc file is. So in that case, lsl, and I'm gonna be filtering it, and the filter value I have to give it, so that's gonna be bash rc, and I want to filter it in the current directory, just like this, or not even, just like this. Probably I need to add r over here for the recursive, so that it checks in the directories as well. And let's see, I think it's gonna be taking a lot of time. Bash rc, yeah, I'm searching it in the root directory, and there are many directories here, hence it's gonna be taking time. But the question is how long? ls this grep there are many folders and all, so definitely it's gonna be time consuming. So it's better to search inside a particular directory. Suppose I'm gonna be searching inside etc, still it's gonna be taking time. Why? It should ideally not be taking time. Let me stop it. Let me probably I'm not getting anything. These are the files that I got. I wanna search bash rc, so this is the one that I got. Probably if I just have a look at the hidden files as well, I'm still getting this bash rc only. And if I just add r over here, then it makes it takes more time. Already the question is that how am I gonna be searching? Let me duplicate this. Time to go through the Linux commands. Well, I think it's gonna be taking time. Never mind. So over here, if I search for the Linux commands, so Linux commands. So here includes directories as well, right? So grep IR in the current directory, so it does include the directories. Firewall, probably I'd better directly search it here. So ls the root directory, cd this. Now here, okay, these are the things that we have in the root directories. Yeah, so what is the next thing that I can do? Grep and IR bash rc file I am looking for, and in the current directory. So these are many. Permission denied. I'm not the root user, so that is why permission is getting denied. Permission denied as many places. A few places I actually got this bash rc file. That's okay. Let me do one thing. As the permission is being denied, can I switch to the sudo I root user? Of course, I have to enter the password. ls. Now I'm the root user over here, and that is snap in this particular case. That's fine. And if I try to go to the root directory, and if I try to run the same command over here, what is that command? Well, I don't really have that history here. So grep IR, and that was bash rc file in the current directory. So at least permission is not gonna be denied over here. But the question is, bin bash or binary file matches. This one is inside where? Colon dash bash rc. So in the root directory, I mean over here we have this bash rc file. Great, let's check this thing out. So this is where we have this bash rc file. This is the path that we got. Let me clear everything. Ultimately clear everything. And if I go to the home directory, and inside the home directory of the root, doesn't really make any sense to have a look, but okay, this is the bash rc file that we have. Cat dot bash rc, and over here these are the aliases that we have. In these are the aliases for the root user only, not for the normal user. Ouch, this is making noise for what? I don't have any alarm set, never mind. Okay, yeah, this is the bash rc file of the root user. So let me switch to the normal user. So I will just simply exit from here. This is the normal user right now, and if I go to this particular place, this particular place ls, so over here I will definitely have the bash rc file as well. By the way, to check that, lsal, and I'm gonna be filtering it based on the name bash rc. So this is the file that I got. Once I got this particular file, so cat dot, or it's better to just go inside that. Well, that's bad. Bash rc anyway. Quit bash rc. So this is the file that we got, and let me go till the end. So capital G, and this is the alias that I created earlier. So inside bash rc file, if you are actually creating some aliases, they are gonna be there forever, of course, because you have saved that inside bash rc file, and bash rc is the file that runs first. So whenever you just simply spin up a terminal, so at that time this bash rc file runs, and bash rc file makes sure that this alias is there. Similarly, for the cargo, I was just simply working with Rust recently, so this cargo.env is here for the Rust. You need if you are using bun, so bun needs to be initialized, so it will be initialized like this. Ultimately bun will be available. So usually the path of the bun is what? Usually the path of the bun is inside bun exists, but that is actually exported. That simply means it is available. Similarly, this is for SDK emulator that I'm actually running, and this is for the node. And going ahead from here, there's a lot of configuration, like this one I have over here, omybash.sh. This is the source. I'm using bash here, and we have some plugins over here. We have aliases general, the type probably, that is general. We have completions, git, composer and ssh, and omb use sudo true, and it just simply keeps going on and on and on. You can just simply configure it the way you want. Even from here you can just simply change the theme, you can change the font size, many more things that are here that can be actually changed. By the way, there is theme section, not this theme, there is the theme name over here. That must be somewhere. If you change that, overall theme of this terminal is going to be changed. And probably this is the one. Just a minute, I'm not, well, just a sec. Not really getting that, but that option must be here somewhere, but never mind, let's continue. So yeah, this is how you can just simply get it. Even I came to know about the real path. So if you actually wanna know about bash rc, so you have to cd into tilde dot, just simply cat the file. So cat this dot bash rc. So this is how we have to just simply go ahead. Alrighty, let me I'm still inside that, right? Let me quit it. Okay, ls. So right now it is done. So we even know about this particular thing. We have gone through the cluster, that's great. Create cluster config, we have already gone with this. Get nodes, get pods, get pods in the watch mode, we can even get that. Getting pods in the watch mode, we haven't really created any pod yet, but we can definitely create that. ls k get pods. So if I just simply run this command, cd, let me do one thing, exit from here, or let me do one thing, as I'm here right now, right? So cd into the path of this particular file, ls. So right now I'm inside this oops directly over here, that's what I wanted. And once I'm here, k get pods. I don't really have any pods, of course, there's no way to just see them, but yeah, we can just simply see the pods in the watch mode. kubectl logs nginx. So if you are actually running a pod, the name of the pod is nginx, so you can just simply get the logs as well. If you are running any app, of course, you can even follow the logs, and you can get the logs in the verbose mode. We have gone through all these things. This is just the revision section. By the way, if you are actually worried what I'm talking about, so I'm talking about these commands, sorry for that, for not showing to you. So we have gone through this. Docker process we already know, just simply gives the list of all the processes running. Kind get clusters will give you all the list of the clusters that you have locally. You can know more about the cluster once the cluster is running. In our case, we have a cluster running. Kind get clusters, we have this cluster running. So kind get context, I hope that's the one. Kind cluster info, actually. Cluster info. By the way, whenever you create the cluster, you automatically get this particular command, so that's fine. Context is gonna be local, that's the name of the cluster. Kind local, don't worry, you don't really need to remember something. As you just keep working on the things, they automatically get remembered. But here we are facing an issue, unknown command cluster info for kind. So by the way, this should be local actually, not kind local. That's what? Context local. Kind cluster info, context is the local. So what is the problem? Kind cluster info, kind cluster info, where is the context? Context is the local. Unknown cluster info for kind. Is this wrong command? Just a minute. It's not really gonna be possible to simply get that back, but I definitely create let me create another cluster. Kind create cluster, name is gonna be by default kind one, and this command we get automatically over here. I wanna check whether the name is the same or not. Then of course we are gonna be going through the pods and all, and this is how things are gonna be done. Meanwhile, we can of course work on the front end section. I just simply initialized it. I haven't really worked on it. This is just a Next.js project. It can easily be made. We are not going to be focusing on the design part and all. So not really big problem. So this is the command, by the way. Kubectl. Kubectl should be used here. And I was. Even kubectl is, well, wow. Kubectl. that was wrong from my own side. So k cluster info context is gonna be local, and right now it should be local cluster info local. We have to add this kind and then local here, then it should be just simply giving me the information about the cluster. So this is how we have to just simply go ahead. K kind get clusters. Right now I have two clusters over here. This kind got automatically created because I didn't mention any name. So k or kind delete cluster, name is gonna be kind, of course, and if I don't pass any name, that particular kind will automatically be deleted. So kind get clusters, I'm just getting the local over here. So great, we have gone through this much, and that's what we wanted to go through. This is the path of the bash rc file. Over there you can just simply create the alias directly and the job will be done. Then you will not have to recreate it over and over. This is what you have to paste inside cat.bash rc file and the job will be done. You will have the alias ready. If you want to see all the aliases, so just run this particular command and you will see all the aliases. For deleting the cluster, run this particular command and the job will be done. So even for creating a cluster, like configuring a cluster, so you can just simply create any, the name can be actually anything, so don't worry about this. This example I got from Google, you can get the same, or you can just simply go ahead with this one as well. And these are the few commands. Once your cluster is created, by the way, if you want to create the cluster using this particular configuration, so kind create cluster, config is gonna be clusters.ml, so any ml file where this particular code is, and then you can name your cluster. If you don't name it, kind is gonna be the name automatically. K get nodes, you can get all the nodes. By the way, this is not K, this is kubectl. In my case I say it K because that's the alias that I have set. Kubectl get nodes, kubectl get pods to get the pods, kubectl get pods in the watch mode. Watch mode in the sense, pods are what? Pods are nothing but kind of a service, not a service, kind of a process running that is responsible for running your app ultimately. So pod may be running your Next.js app, front-end app, back-end app, anything inside a container. So if you just get the pod in the watch mode, so you just simply get the what? You get the pods that are being created or removed and all. So you just simply see the real status of the pods. Similarly, logs, you can just simply enter the name of the process, kind of the app running, kind of the app name can be nginx over here. That's the nginx over here. That can be front end, back end, to do. I mean, this is insane, yaar. Just a minute. This clock is not working the way it should be working. It is making a lot of noise. So let me do one thing. Let me just simply do it like this, so that I hope I haven't muted myself. Yeah, this is just the sound thing. It's gonna be this much. So you can just simply check the logs of the app running. Similarly, logs, you can even follow the logs. Logs in the sense, once your app is running, you must be logging something or the other. And lastly, verbose mode. This stands for that. Verbose mode in the sense you will be getting more things. So if the number is higher, you will be knowing more about you will be getting more information. If the number is lower, you will be getting less information. Don't worry about it. This is just the verbal part. We will definitely be implementing it, but this is not the right time. So let's simply discuss about all these things verbally. So clusters, we have already talked about this, and this is the revision part, because we have gone through all these things initially when I was just simply learning through them, and I mean learning them. This is just simply the part where we are just simply going through them again. Alrighty, by the way, we can just simply run any app directly. By the way, this is not how we run this. Good to know that kubectl run nginx. So this is nothing but the name. Image name is nginx. Port number is this. Label you can even add to hyphen labels, and the label is gonna be here. Port doesn't do anything, by the way, just for the knowing purpose. So this way you can just simply run this. It's pretty simple. Why it's pretty simple? Because if you actually remember, when we run any image, so docker run, we say docker run, we just simply give it the name, we give it the port number. So port, when we wanna run any image inside a port, so ultimately we just simply say kubectl run. What do we run? Suppose we wanna run nginx app. This is nothing but the name. Up to you what do you wanna name that. We can just simply give it the image name. Suppose that is nginx @latest. Completely up to you. Then apart from this particular thing, whatever options you provide, that's completely optional. Suppose you want to provide port number, this is just for the knowing purpose. It usually it runs on 80 port 80, so that is why I have given it. And lastly, if you want to provide the give the label, so completely up to you. App, how do we give it the label? App Nginx, yeah. Nginx, this is how you can just simply give it the label. What it will do, it will just simply run that. Ultimately, a pod will be created. By the way, this is wrong. Invalid image name. Image name is invalid. So let me correct that. This should not be @ this should be colon over here. Run this. One more problem here. What is the problem? The connection to the server localhost 8000 was refused. Did you specify the right host or the port number? Just a minute. K get ports. K. Ultimately, I do not have kind get clusters. We have a cluster running. Docker process status. Wow. We have these three things running. One is the control plane, two are the workers over here. If I have them here, so what is the problem with the current code that I have? I have kubectl run. This is the Nginx app. This is the image name, Nginx latest. Port number is 80. Labels are this, and that's what I have mentioned over here. Kubectl run Nginx. Image is gonna be this. Port number is gonna be this. Labels are gonna be this. So it should usually be working. If I run it again, what it is saying, that kubectl run Nginx, by the way, this was the command actually. Unhandled error, could not get a current server API group list. Dial TCP disconnect connection refused. Wow. The connection to the server localhost 8080 was refused. Did you specify the right port? Why is it giving me this error anyway? And that to localhost 8080. This unhandled error, could not get current server API group list. This localhost API time out. Dial TCP. Why is it even requesting port at 080? Connection refused. Okay, the connection to the server host was refused. Did you specify the right host or port number? That simply means server is not running. Is this running or that? Not really. Amazing job, yeah. Let me do one thing. Let me copy this whole command that I have here. Will this work directly? The shortest way ever. Paste it over here. Run this. Nope. Still facing the same issue. Exit. By the way, there is a command called top, and that simply gives you the current running commands. If I just simply say top over here, the current processes that are running, 0 stopped, blah blah blah, and the top, you can even click on them and just sort them the way you want. I don't think it's possible, but yeah, these are the commands that you are getting. Never mind, this is not something we have to talk about. We have to talk about what not even talking about. Kind get pods. K get pods. Wow. Understood. The cluster that we have created, that is not even running well, if I'm not wrong. Otherwise, if it were running, then we would be able to see the result, but we are not able to see the result. In that case, kind get clusters, kind delete cluster, name is gonna be local, kind cd one step back, ls kind create cluster. What is the configuration for this? The configuration is local cluster.ml. The name is gonna be nothing but local, so it's gonna be created now. The last time there was some issue with that, that is why I was not able to get the things done in the right way, but never mind, we'll get it done again this time. We have enough time, eternity, as long as we are alive. Just kidding. Okay, let's continue with this thing. How long has it been anyway? I can only be here for 1 hour. Uh, Not written 15 minutes more, and then I'll have to just go and get some work done. Don't worry, this particular thing will be given 2 hours, but those 2 hours are gonna be given later. 1 hour for done late now. 1 hour will be later. Okay, so k kind get clusters, not really kind get clusters. Yeah, that's right. Right command. Okay, here we are. What is the now kind? What kind? Not k. K stands for kubectl. That's the alias. K get pods. Great, no resources found. So k and run, I wanna run Nginx app. That's nothing but the app, my app. I can name it anything. The image I'm gonna be running, that is going to be Nginx colon latest. Latest is just the tag that I'm having here. And you can give it the port number, completely up to you whether you give it or not. This is just for the description purpose. And you can give it the labels. Labels, suppose app and Nginx. Again, label can be anything. If I just simply run this, congratulations, pod has been created. Pod inside the container that is actually running this Nginx app. Let's see. K get pods. This pod is running. Again, it hasn't been created yet, so you will have to wait for a while so that it gets created, and then you will be seeing the result. But unfortunately or fortunately, it is not even running right now. So just wait and wait. Yeah, now it is running. So right now the app is running. You can go inside the app. I mean, yeah, you can do that. How? Oh, I forgotten, but I haven't forgotten. K describe, and we wanna describe. But first of all, it doesn't have any namespace. What is the namespace? Namespace is just used for categorizing the processes running here. But never mind, we will talk about that later. As for right now, what are we gonna be doing? K get what K describe. I'm gonna be going inside the pod, not inside the pod. So what am I doing? I'm knowing more about the pod, as simple as that. So K describe. Nginx is the name. Nginx app is the name of the pod. I think that is it. There's no namespace. There's default namespace. So N default, or whether you keep it or not, that doesn't really matter. If I run this, well, I need to say that I wanna describe a pod. Run this. By the way, the default this namespace that I actually give, this is completely optional. Whether you give it or not, that doesn't really matter. By default, they are running in the default namespace. And here, what it is saying? Here it is saying that, bro, I'm running inside local worker 1, and my label is this. There is a container inside me. There are containers inside me. Ultimately, an array that just simply shows the list of the app running inside the particular container. So next app is running, and so far so good. It just simply keeps going on like this. Alrighty. By the way, it is just simply saying that, okay, these are the logs of the starting the next JS, not the next JS, what Nginx app. Okay. Alrighty, this particular thing is done. Not only that, bro, you can do one more thing. If you say K get pods, you can actually go inside the container that is running. How? K execute. I wanna execute in the interactive mode so that I can interact with that. And this is the app. So let's simply keep it over here. Hyphen and sh. That stands for shell for. So sh terminal is gonna be there. If I run this, what will happen? I'm inside the particular container. By the way, there's only one container, that is why I'm directly inside that. Otherwise, I would have to specify the name. If there were 2 containers running, how would I specify the name? Specifying the name is pretty simple. C stands for container over here. So either write I think container. This is how it's written. And container, and what container, bro? Container Nginx, of course. Nginx app. Run this. So here you are inside the container again. ls. Here you are seeing all the things that are inside the container. You can exit. What is the shorter way? Shorter way is that instead of doing it like this, say -c and name of the container Nginx app. We are inside that, and here you can just simply check out the thing. So we have bin dev docker entry point.sh. I would home lib. This is all together. So what is a container? Container alt is a sort of a machine, not exactly virtual machine. So it is just a kind of a machine that has its own environment and that just simply runs your app, right? And that is why you have sbin over here, you have bin over here, you have boot over here, you have etc over here. Wow, so it is just like a virtual machine. Inside a virtual machine you have bin, dev, boot, etc, lib, home, media, opt, let me see, host name. Wow, we are getting the host name over here, that is the nginx. Who am I? So it is giving me I'm root user, and c cat etc, let me go to our cd slash etc ls. Wow, it is just like a virtual machine. So here I have this password, so cat password. So here I'm seeing all the users. So this root user we have over here, and apart from this these users, these are the what application, what device, how to name them, yaar, they are the system users. Yeah, and I can even create a new user if I'm not wrong. So user add test user. Wow, whoa, I think user has been created. Let me see, cat and password. Wow, bro, that's amazing. A test user has been created. By the way, this is not the right way, so probably I have to add user over here. How to remove it? User delete. Really? What was the command that I ran initially? User add, user delete. I wanna delete test user. Oh, yeah, I'm gone. Good job. So delete user test user I've created. Not found. Inside sh terminal you don't have this particular command. Great. By the way, if I go to root directory ls, home directory actually, just cd ls present working directory root. Do we have any user? This is the root user anyway. So cd ls cd home ls present working directory home. We have nothing over here. So probably how to remove this? I can configure it. That would be better. So cedc, and we have password. So vi password. Well, vi does not exist. Does nano exist here? Nano password. Nano does not exist. Does, of course, vim does not exist either. So I created it, but I cannot remove it. Never mind. We created a new user inside sh, but we don't know. I mean, we will have to install all these things anyway. Never mind. But yeah, we are inside this. What else? cd router. These are the things that we have. Cat, docker entry point.sh. These are the commands that we have here. Never mind. Okay, ls, all the hidden files. We have just these. Okay, we have this link over here, bin. It references to user bin. Wow. And what is this user bin? ls. So the bin that we have, it actually references to the user bin. So cd user ls. We have bin over here. The question is, what is this bin? This bin is the directory over here. So one directory, one link is referencing to a directory. Amazing job. Good to know that. By the way, that's all. I mean, that's what I wanted to know more about it. It is gonna be just like this. We are gonna be exploring each and everything. No need to just simply rush after something, because yeah, we have already covered what we were supposed to be covering. Anyway, coming back to this, so we have created a pod. We can even run the pod directly like this. We can describe the pod. We can know more about the pod. We can delete the pod. We can describe the pod. Why am I mentioning it 2 times? Kubectl, describe pod, kubectl, nginx. So let's do one thing. Delete this, or probably delete this. What? Kubectl describe. Okay, I can describe a pod and I can describe pods. That's a good thing. So anyway, let me let it be here, yeah, one extra command that hardly matters. But yeah, the thing is that you can describe pods and you can execute inside the pod. We have already gone through this, so let's not worry about this. This is something interesting, like k get pods. Right now you have only one, so you don't really need to worry about it. But if you had many, so you could have described them in one go. So k describe and pods, all the pods would have been described. Having said that, you have only one, so you don't really need to worry about it. Let me create quickly one more. So k, by the way, that is in fact kubectl run. I wanna run httpd app. I have to know more about it, exactly what it is, but it gives us a front end page, Apache, something this belongs to, but I have to still learn about that. Okay, by the way, the image is gonna be httpd latest, and port is gonna be, it also runs on port 80. That's gonna be problematic. Really? Not really, because these things are gonna be running inside the containers. Those containers have their own port number, so we don't really need to worry about it. 80. And labels, let me give it the label as well. We are not really specifying any namespace over here. Namespace are one of the most important things, because without the namespace, everything is gonna be scattered. Ignore the background noise, work is going on. App, and that's gonna be httpd. That's it. Run this. It's been created. Docker process status. Well, you will not really see anything. You will get the local control plane, ultimately control plane, and two workers over here. Anyway, ignore them. This is the MongoDB container running. This is the PostgreSDB container running them locally over here. You must be aware of them. Okay, so k get pods. We have two pods running over here. Great job. If I say k describe, let me now. What's up, bro? Why are you getting disconnected unnecessary? It is just simply saying that it's about to be 1 hour. That is why it's disconnecting. Okay, k describe. We can describe a pod, and we can just simply say httpd app is something that we want to describe, or nginx app is something that we want to describe, or we want to describe both at the same time. So what will happen? First of all, you will get the description. Should I call it description? Description. Yeah. So you will be getting the info or the description of the first one over here, and it is till here only. Then you are gonna be getting the second one. So first of all, we are gonna be getting the info of the httpd app. This is the label that it has. These are the containers. By the way, inside it there's only one httpd app running. Containers contain many containers. There can be many containers inside a pod anyway. And then namespace is here, and it is running inside local worker 1 ultimately, and the top one is running inside local worker 2. So everything is mentioned over here. When you create containers, forget about the containers, because when you are running a process, an app ultimately, the command that I ran earlier, so that creates a pod. Pods are automatically assigned to a suitable node, and that suitable node is nothing but a worker node. Okay, and that is why you have this. And how it's done, there is something called schedulers, kube schedulers in Kubernetes. They are responsible for scheduling, and this is how it just simply goes. By the way, we will talk about them anyway. So we have gone through this particular thing. Coming back to this particular these commands over here, lastly we have already executed inside the particular pod. What happens when we execute? We can see how the things are running, whether something is missing or I am missing. How can I be missing? But something can definitely be missing. Manifest. This is the most important thing over here. Why this is the most important thing? Either you create the pod one by one, or you create a proper manifest file. A name can be anything, but you can definitely create the manifest file. Before that, we created a configuration for creating a cluster. What was that? We needed a kind, we needed a API version, we needed nodes. How many nodes we want? Over here, we need the API version, we need the kind, we need the metadata. Metadata means what? The info, the metadata about the pod that you are creating, and of course, the name is the nginx pod. Label is gonna be app nginx. Pretty simple. Okay. Specification. What is that? Specs. there needs to be containers running. Great, there needs to be containers running. Inside that you can run an app. Name is gonna be this, image is gonna be this, port number is gonna be this. Pretty simple. Name is gonna be this, image is gonna be this, port number is gonna be this. So inside one container, I'm actually running two apps right. Oh, sorry, inside one pod, I'm actually running two containers right now. Any problem? No problem. Shall we do that? Let's give it a try. Let's at least create a configuration file on or without looking at that. First of all, we wrote this particular configuration file. We are able to write that. If you don't believe, first of all, we need kind. Kind is gonna be cluster. Then we need a API version. This is the configuration for what? This is the configuration for creating a local cluster. By the way, API version is gonna be kind dot kx k8is dot io / v1 alpha 4. This is something I memorized a while ago. Okay, and we need some nodes. What are the nodes? Node can will have a role. Role will be like what kind of node you want. First one, I want control plane. That is not plane, that is plane. And then another role is gonna be a node. I mean not node actually. They are gonna be they are definitely nodes, but that is worker to be precise. And we are gonna be one more worker. Similarly, you can get one more worker. And if you will run this, you will have 3 workers running. You will have one control plane running, and this is how it will be done. Okay, we have gone with this thing. Let's have 3 workers. We will run it, and we will see whether 3 workers actually get created or not. Before that, what are we gonna be doing? Before that, I'm gonna be creating one more file that's gonna be manifest. And even to be precise, let's do one thing. What should I be naming this? This is definitely a manifest file, but manifest file for what? Manifest file for a pod. So let me do it like this: pod manifest. Name doesn't really matter. Pod manifest.ml. Simple. This is the name, because I'm gonna be creating many more files, or you could have named it pod.ml, manifest.ml. Depends on you. But first of all, what is gonna be the kind? Kind is the pod. Now whether this is like this or like this, I'm not aware of this. So we'll see it. Okay, we need the API version. API version is definitely v1 because I just had a look over here. Metadata it needs. Metadata. What metadata contains? Metadata contains the name. What is the name? The name can be, if I'm running suppose my front end. So front end app. By the way, this is gonna be for the front end. So front end app suppose, or just the front end, doesn't really matter. What else? The else thing can be, even you can give the namespace over here. How namespaces are created, we will go through that later. Let's not give it any namespace. By default, it will have default namespace. By the way, apart from this particular thing, it can actually have labels. In labels, will have I forgotten, app colon front end. I hope this is how we specify the label over here. And we'll see whether I'm writing it the right way or not. We'll have some spec over here. Spec inside the spec, I will specify all the containers that are running, and those containers will have name. Really? I forgotten, bro. Ultimately, inside the container, you mention the apps that you are gonna be running. So probably it's gonna be sort of like this. So the first one is gonna be, suppose I'm gonna be running Nginx. So let's name it Nginx app, and Nginx image. That's gonna be Nginx latest, and ports. Hopefully I'm right. Container port. This is completely optional. 80. So this particular thing is done. But it should be inside the container. One thing I'm definitely missing, but never mind. Another one is gonna be name, and that's gonna be, because this time I have to learn how to write it on my own without taking the help of anything. Okay, Nginx app, and then let's see. Suppose we are gonna be running HTTPD. So HTTPD app, depends on you exactly what you wanna run, and we'll have image name HTTPD image latest. We'll have ports. This is definitely wrong. That is why we are getting this. But never mind. Who cares? Container port. That's gonna be 80. And what am I missing? Let's see what am I missing. Oh, I'm missing this. Hyphen, that is it. Let me use it here. So it will make sure that this is the separate. This is the separate one, and this is the separate one. We made it till here. Amazing job. Alrighty, so this particular configuration we have written on or on. Let's see if it is exactly the right. We have labels over here. We have this. We have pod that is capital P. So let me always the names kindly starts with the capital P. So keep that particular thing in mind. We have metadata, nginx, labels, spec containers, and these are the two containers that we are running inside that. And what else? Nothing else. So yeah, congratulations, we've done that. And what else can you do? You could have specified names here inside labels, not really, not inside the labels. Over here, if you have namespace created, so you could have specified the name. Suppose the namespace is front-end team, but the thing is that we haven't really created any namespace. So let's ignore this. Creating namespace is not really a big deal, but we'll create it when we'll create it, and then we'll go through it. Okay, let's do it here. I mean, namespaces are really important ones. By the way, this is a section of the namespace, and for creating the namespace, you have to just simply have the API version namespace. It's literally very easy. Okay, forget about that. Let's, by the way, the most important part is the configuration. So let me write the configuration at the top. This is the comment here. Keep that particular thing in mind. I wanna go at the top. Alright? Yeah. If you click Control and Enter, you will go below. If you click Control Shift Enter, you will go at the top. This is just a shortcut that I get confused with. Okay, so kind. What is gonna be the kind? Kind is the namespace that I want. What is the use of namespace? We'll talk about it. Namespace in the sense you will get kind of a category. So all the front-end related parts are gonna be inside this particular namespace. All the backend related code is gonna be backend related namespace. So in this way, whenever you will find the names, whenever you will run a command for getting the pods, so you will specify the namespace as well. So namespace is nothing but a label that you, not label, yeah, kind of a category that you give to these, so that whenever you find something with the help of that category, you should be getting the related results only. So I just think of it as a category, because this namespace I'm creating, that is a category, and these things, the front end, this app that I'm running, this belongs to this particular category. That simply means whenever I will search something using this category, so I will be getting the needed result. I will be getting the how to put it in words, I will be getting the results that I need. Okay, forget about that, not getting the proper word. Okay, by the way, API version, that's gonna be V1 over here. And name, metadata. Of course, name is gonna be under metadata, and we will give it the name over here. So name is gonna be, suppose this is the front end app. For example, this is the front end app. So the name is gonna be for the team, that's gonna be front end team. This is where we have created the metadata. Once the metadata, this is where we have created the namespace. Once the namespace is created, we are just simply saying that bro, namespace is done. I am assigning the same namespace to this one. So next time onwards, whenever you will search the pods mentioning this namespace, so you will get all the pods that belong to this namespace only. As simple as that. And by the way, we are just simply saying over here that okay, we want to create a pod, and these are the containers that are gonna be running inside the pod. And pretty simple one. I mean, it's actually pretty simple one. If you don't believe me, gonna be writing it again really quickly. So first of all, we want to create a namespace. So that's gonna be kind. Kind is gonna be namespace, just like this. Then we need API version 1, and by the way, just version 1. And we need the metadata, because inside the metadata we need to specify the name and all. So name is gonna be, suppose I'm creating this namespace for the front end team. So this particular thing is the front end team. This particular thing is done. Use these comments over here, and let's write the configuration for the what. This is the configuration for what is that called, namespace. Then just below I will have the configuration for the pod. So kind is gonna be what? Kind is gonna be nothing but the pod. Remember that it starts with capital name, capital word. So pod is here. API version, that's gonna be v1. Remember that when we were creating cluster, so at that time API version was this. Okay, but of course this is not the version for the pod, so version 1. And metadata will contain metadata information. What is the metadata? Name is the metadata. What is the name? Suppose front-end app or just the front-end, depends. And it will have the labels. So let me give it the labels, app, and that's gonna be front-end. That's the label that I have given it. What is the use of the label? When I talk about replica set, at that time I will be talking about the labels or maybe deployments. It's easy, really easy, seriously, believe me. By the way, front end. And let's give it the namespace. What is the namespace? This is just the category. You will see, mention that category name, you will be getting the, now how to put it in words, you will be getting the result that belongs to that particular category. Now when you don't get any words, proper words while speaking English, so explain that. Fine. Okay, coming back to this one, metadata, name space. Not namespace like this, and that's gonna be front-end team is the namespace over here. So that is done as well. And once we have done this much, then we are gonna be mentioning the spec over here. Okay, you wanna create a pod, but what is the specification? What is the spec for that? Specs. So I am just simply gonna say that, bro, inside that pod a container should be running. There can be one containers, there can be more than one containers, and inside those containers the first service will be running. That's gonna be Nginx app. That's just the name that I'm mentioning over here. And then it will have an image. Of course, without the image how can you run that? So Nginx latest, this is the image, and the ports are completely optional for you. So whether container port, whether you specify over here or not. So this Nginx app will be running inside a container. So this will create a container. Okay, so containers is nothing but an array. So over here, whenever you keep it like this, so this is actually an array that contains many containers, and not contains many containers, that simply shows you the list of many containers. So whenever this particular image runs, so that runs inside the pod. Inside the pod there can be many containers. So this is the first container, and the port is gonna be 80. By the way, this is for the description purpose. That does not mean that if you specify 3000 over here, so your Nginx app will start running on 3000. No, Nginx app will still run on port 80. This is just for the description purpose. Coming back to the next one, the next app that we are gonna be running, that can be name, and we can run MongoDB, we can run PostgreSQL, we can run front end, we can run back end, we can run anything. But for now, I'm gonna be running HTTPD app, and image is gonna be, because these are the pre-created images pushed to Docker Hub, so we are just simply gonna be getting them from here. So HTTPD latest, and ports, and of course we'll have container port here. That's gonna be port 80. One question: you have port 80 over here. That simply means HTTP also runs on port 80. Next.js also runs on port 80. So how can they run on port 80 inside the same pod? And the answer is that pod can run many containers. So this is one container, and this is another container. Inside the containers, this particular app is running, image is running. So there are two containers. They have their own port numbers. So this particular Nginx runs on this particular container, whichever container gets created, and Nginx will run on port 80 on that particular container. HTTPD run will on port 80 on different container. So ultimately inside the pod two containers are running. Hopefully it makes sense. Initially I got confused as well. 80 same pod, what is the problem? But the problem is that pod can actually run two pods. Pod can run many containers. So that's the thing. Done. Let me create the pods, by the way. ls k get pods. By the way, these were the pods. Let me delete all of them. So k delete pods. You cannot delete many pods, so let me delete Nginx app first of all. K get pods. Now we have HTTPD k delete. By the way, K stands for Kubernetes, not Katal, that is Katal. I don't even know whether this is the right pronunciation. I heard somebody saying this like this, so I started doing the same. Okay, by the way, Kubernetes we wanna delete. What do we wanna delete? We wanna delete a pod, and the name of the pod is httpd app not ls k get pods. We don't have any pod. Bhai, achha. K get pods. We don't have any pods right now. What are we gonna be doing? ls, inside this we have pod manifest. How to using manifest file create pods, simply apply that. So kubectl k or kubectl k apply. What is the file name? F stands for file over here. So let's simply give it the name. So pod ml, and that is it. Run this. Congratulations, we got the error. Warning, spec containers 1 and ports 2, container port 0, duplicate port definition. अरे वाह, क्या बात है. spec containers 1 port 0 duplicate port definition with spec container. It is actually telling us that by both of them have the same same port number. So the definition that we have provided over here, definition with this definition, port number definition, it is saying that both of them are running on the same ports. But does it really matter? I don't think so. It is just simply giving us the warning. That's okay, never mind. Usually it should not happen like that, but it should still be giving us the result. ls k get pods. Aila. Hi. Do you remember that when we run k get pods, by default namespace runs? But what have we done? We have created our namespace over here, that is the front end team. So now the pods that we created, that do not belong to default namespace, rather those belong to front end team namespace. So what we will have to do, if I say k get namespace, so you are gonna be getting default namespaces here. These are some system namespaces, and front end team is the namespace that we created, and this particular app that we are running, that belongs to this namespace. That simply means when you run k get pods, you will get only namespaces that belong to default namespace, and this app does not belong to default namespace. So we will have to say that k get pods namespace, and what is the namespace? Front end. So what is the benefit of doing this? The benefit of doing this is that if you have backend team, front end team, next team, different teams. So if you say k get pods, if they belong to the default, then you will be getting a lot of pods, right? But if you are giving them namespaces, so using namespaces you will be getting the pods. So you will get only those pods which you actually need, right? By the way, let's simply run this. This spelling is wrong. Front end team, and here we are definitely getting the error. It is just simply saying that bro, there is some kind of error, and we know what the error is. We got the warning, and the warning is that they are running on the same portal. I thought it would not be problematic, but it is problematic. So we will be digging deeper into it, because as per our thinking, there are two different containers. So why is that so? Why can't we run them on port 80? And never mind, one is running, and which one is running, that's something you can, this is the pod that is running. Okay, there are two containers inside the pod. First of all, front end is the pod, and only one app is running, one container is running, another one is not. So if I just simply describe that, so I can get the logs as well. K logs front end. Let's see. Well, we don't really have any logs, so let me describe it really quick. So describe pod and front end. Arey wah. By the way, again, every time you will have to use a namespace over here. Why? Because by default it uses default namespace. So if I get the logs like this, I want to get the logs of the front end, you will have to specify the namespace as well. Front end team. These are the namespaces that you have, and it turns out what it is running. It turns out that Nginx out of Nginx and HTTP, that is okay. I will talk about this because there are two containers that are running, and this is showing me the Nginx is running. How about let me mention the container name as well. That's gonna be httpd app. Why am I mentioning it? Don't worry, I will talk about it later. And it is saying what? Oh, could not reliably determine the service fully qualified domain using this. The server declarative globally this address already used on this, make sure could not bind address to this already used. Oh bro, that's no listening sockets available. Honestly, I thought that inside the pod you have two containers running. Those containers have their own port numbers, so you can run them. But it is just simply giving us the same error. That no, bro, that is not possible. I'm gonna be talking about. I'm gonna be discussing this thing with the AI, and we'll know more about it because it's just the opposite of what I thought. I'm gonna be back, and we'll discuss about all these things anyway. And that will be happening after half an hour. I have some work. Let me get that done. Then I'll be back. We'll talk. We have to talk about Linux commands. We even have to talk about Rust. Let's get it done today so that I can just simply continue with the project. My instructor is using Rust in one of the projects. So am I. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna be catching up soon. Until then, take care. Bye bye, and see you.